Welcome to the podcast, the Modern Creative Podcast, with your boy Alberto Mendoza, and we have Valeria today.
Hello.
And she is a content creator, brand photographer. Overall, what she does is took a look at her portfolio before we did the podcast, and you did some pretty amazing stuff.
Thank
With the
you.
headshots and whatnot.
Thank you.
If you want to give our listeners and our new viewers a little synopsis of your life and who you are and how did you get into the space?
Yes. So, hi, listeners. My name is Valeria, and yes, I am a lifestyle brand photographer and content creator. I actually been photographing for past almost 9 years because I started when my son was about to be born. He's going to be 8 in August. So almost 9 years. Well, going on 9 years.
Sure.
And yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey because I have tried everything in the photography aspect. I have started with newborns, then maternity, families, tapped into real estate photography, which was not for me. I don't know, but definitely not for me. I need to work with people. I realized that very quickly. And then I kind of tapped on headshots a little bit back then, but didn't go really into branding until 2 years ago.
Okay. Well,
And
before,
then-
let's pump the
yeah.
brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we get into you tackling certain avenues in the photography space, tell me about when you first picked up the camera. How old were you? Were you always a creative from the jump, or it's something that you just picked up 9 years ago? Tell me a little bit about your creative background.
So when I actually started photography and when I became a photographer, my friends started laughing because they're like, you were always the one at all the parties running around with cameras, taking pictures of everybody.
So
I'm
you
like,
always had a camera in hand.
I did. And actually, I remember my ex-boyfriend a while ago, he gifted me a first camera just because I liked taking pictures so
Do
much.
you remember the camera?
Oh, it was like that point and shoot, but the one with the retractable zoom. I don't remember. It was from something from Costco back then.
Everybody got their cameras from Costco.
I know.
Our first family digital camera was something similar to that, and it was like a Sony. But yeah, I remember from Costco.
Yeah. So I remember that was the first camera. So it was not really a professional one. So no, I was taking pictures. And then later on, my girlfriend actually started doing newborn photography. And she reached out and she's like, hey, do you want to just come and help me? I need a second pair of hands. I'm like, sure.
And
So
she knew you were already interested.
No, I was not even interested. I
Oh.
was just
random
there
help.
to help out, really. And I came, I helped out. It was so cute. I didn't know what to do with the little babies that are 5 days old. I mean, I still didn't have my own kid back then, so I was like, oh my God, like, are they gonna break if I touch them?
Yeah.
But then I kind of started helping her here and there. And then we decided to take a course together, like a photography workshop here in San Diego. And I borrowed my dad's, he had like a professional Canon camera for whatever reason. He's not a photographer. He just had it for a hobby. And a 50 nifty 50. That's the only lens that he had. So I just went in with a workshop with that camera and that lens, and we created some awesome portraits. Like, I barely knew how to use the camera. I figured it out on the way, kind of like YouTube did. And then after that, I was like, wow, I created that? That was super cool. Okay.
You get your first still with the background blur at 1.8 because it's 50 nifty, so it's
yeah, and I was like, wow. And in the workshop was actually a water photography, but like not underwater. It was a water, like a little basin with the models and flowers and some coloring and some like white powder. So it was like a very interesting setup.
Okay.
So we were shooting some models floating in the water with flowers and fabrics.
That actually sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I thought when you said water, you're just taking photos of water.
No.
It's like on a pond or something like that.
No.
You actually have a model in the water. That's actually really cool, actually.
Yeah, it came out really pretty. Actually, some of those photos we ended up exhibiting at an art show. And that was our first photos that we ever taken at like something like that. So it was really cool. So then after that, I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I can, try to photograph. And then my girlfriend, who was doing newborn photography, she's like, oh, yeah, why don't you come and help me and maybe we can do it together? And because there was, at that point, a team of two lady photographers that were specializing in newborns, somewhere up in maybe Temecula or even past. And they were pretty successful, like very successful. And it was two of them. So my girlfriend's like, well, maybe we can be those two, you know?
The San Diego version.
Yeah, exactly.
What year is this?
Oh, that was 2014.
Okay. Okay.
14, yeah, 2014. So I was like, yeah, okay, well, let's try. So I usually kind of go in without even overthinking. I'm like, let's try. Why not? And that's it. The rest is history. That's how I started photographing. So I started with newborns.
And how was your experience with newborns after your first few?
Oh, I thought I sucked. And I did. You have no idea how hard it is to photograph newborns.
I have a friend who does that, and she's told me that it's quite difficult to do that.
Very.
Like, to have them, I mean, I see the end product, and it's like, wow, like, that looks like an AI animation. Like, it doesn't look like a real photo, but because the way they're positioned and whatnot, it's like, how do you do that? And she kind of explained to me how it's done, and I'm like, dude, I would love to see how it's done, but I can only imagine.
Yeah, so it definitely took a lot of practice and work to actually get anywhere near to be like, okay, this is okay. I'm seeing progress here.
And you're still shooting with your dad's camera?
Yeah.
Or at this? Okay.
Yes, I still did not invest in my own camera.
Gotcha.
It took me some time. Actually, my parents bought me after later on because when I was like, okay, I used to work in a dental office for 9 years. And when I got pregnant, I started kind of helping my friend and all of that. And then when I gave birth to my son, I realized, like, I don't want to go back to the office. Like, I mean, I have, like, a baby. What am I going to do? Like, I need to be doing something that, you know, I can have him with me. And so that's how, actually, I never went back to the dental office, and I stayed in the photography.
Nice.
Ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then I bought my parents. I didn't have, you know, I was like, I don't know what to do. And my parents were like, well, we'll buy you your first camera. And you can use your dad's nifty 50 still.
Do you remember the camera body?
Yeah, it was 5D Mark III.
Okay, solid.
Yeah.
Solid camera.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap camera.
Nope.
And even
5D
right
Mark
now, it's
III.
still not
Yeah.
cheap.
5D Mark III. I still have it. I still use it. Well, if I need a second body, I still use it. But
one of my, sorry to interrupt, but like one of my clips that went viral, it's like 2 million views right now on Instagram. My buddy talked about the
I worked with a guy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Adrian. So he talked about the 5D Mark III and how great of a camera it is, and like, it's just funny to hear like the conversations in the comment sections is like, it's not $400 and it is $400, and I'm like, I saw it for like around 420, 450 ish. Just that just shows like that camera like aged well, like fine wine.
Oh my God. I mean, it's a great quality camera and it produces amazing quality images. Yes, of course, the autofocus blows everything out of the water right now, you know, and makes our lives so much easier. But to start out with that camera, yes, it was amazing.
And you're shooting a newborn, so it's not like you need an amazing autofocus. The subject or the talent's not moving around to begin with. So
Yeah.
once you have the single shot locked, you're fine. Unless you want to go manual too, you could even do that since the baby's not going to be moving in your shot. So
Yeah.
it's more than doable.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Okay, so once you got into the baby photography, I'm sensing there's probably some sort of burnout with the baby photography, and you want to try something else, or?
So when I used to work in a dental office, it was an office job. It was 8 to 5 every day, and I went to school, San Diego State, for psychology degree. So I felt like I'm already working in 4 walls. I'm sitting in the office all day long, and I always thought to myself, especially in the winter times when you come out and it's like 5 p.m. and it's already dark outside.
It's dark at
and
like 4 p.m. It's depressing times.
Exactly. So I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I wasting and spending my life in 4 walls? Yes, I'm talking to people and my patients and my doctor, and I love them dearly. But like, this is my life. I actually want to feel a little bit of freedom. I want to explore the outside, have fun in the city, feel where I live, like enjoy the outdoors. Like, what am I? And I didn't even no idea that I'm going to do photography in the future, but like I think I manifested it in a way because I always said I want to work outside of the office, just do things, work with people, and be out and about. So then when I started doing newborns, it was again a studio because you really don't photograph newborns outside. You know, they need the cozy and warm place. And I liked it, I enjoyed it, but again, something else was missing, something like outdoors. So then I started my girlfriend didn't want to do anything outside. She liked, she likes to have a studio space. So we decided, okay, like, why don't we branch out? And
I'm sorry, question. So you guys had your own studio at one point?
yes.
Okay, so
yes.
it's not like you guys are going to the families and...
No, yes, we had a studio.
Okay.
We
Gotcha.
had a beautiful studio in North Park. She was the primary. That was her studio, and I was kind of like her helper,
Sure.
friend, photographer, associate, whatever you may call it. And because of her, I really give all of my props to her. She got me on this journey. Yes, but I realized that I don't want to have a studio. I want to be outside. So we ended up branching out, and she was taking more studio work, and I started doing a lot more outside work, like maternities. Maternity, our maternity clients would come, and they would want to have a maternity shoot outdoors, and then the baby shoot after in the
Two
studio.
for one right there.
Exactly. So we started branching out, and I was doing more outdoors maternity, and then from then on it expanded into outdoor families. And I loved that because I was in the nature.
You only go to the cool places to shoot those like family portraits.
Yes.
Like the beach or the city or Balboa Park or anywhere.
Or beautiful, what do you call them? Oh my God, I'm forgetting the words.
Brain
okay,
fart.
You'll cut it out. Or like beautiful woodsy areas. We have so many beautiful parks in San Diego that are, very like raw and wild looking. And so that's how I expanded into outside and outdoors, and I enjoyed a lot of it. But then the burnout came.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, because I was undercharging. And I realized that everyone already who were kind of seasoned in that world, they were telling me like, "Oh, you need to charge more. Like you have good quality work." And I was like, "No, but I don't."
If you don't mind,
yeah,
ballpark numbers.
Yeah.
What was your ballpark range?
250.
250, and what does that entail of?
It was 250. It was like 30-minute shoot or 1 hour shoot out. At first, it was 1 hour shoot, 250, and I think it was like 10 images. Something like that.
Okay.
But I would imagine I didn't calculate it that well because you have to realize 250 for 1 hour. When you're saying that, you're not calculating
Post.
the time that you spend to talk to a client,
The pre-production, yeah.
the pre-production, the planning, all the back and forth texts and emails about outfits, planning, all of that. Then your time to get to location. And because you're choosing the beautiful location, that might be 30 minutes away from where you live.
And we're assuming they show up on time, which I feel like they don't ever show up on time.
Exactly. So then you have the shoot, and we have great time. Everyone's happy if the kids are cooperating, because that's another thing. They sometimes
Kids are kids.
They don't want to cooperate. They don't want anything to do with you, even if you're a clown in front of them. Sometimes they're just not having their best day.
Yeah.
So then you have the session. Then after the session, drive back home. Right after that, all the post-prop and operations, and the editing and a lot of clients, if you are doing Photoshop, there's a lot of requests. Smooth this wrinkle, remove that wrinkle,
Make my waist a little, couple
waist.
inches.
And it's okay. I'm happy to oblige, but I did not think about it that way when I was pricing myself. That's why I burned out. And I was like, I can't be living like that. My $250 is great. They're not on the floor, but I mean, it's not going to make your living. You can't survive off of that.
Once you break it down like that, from the very beginning, from the inquiry to locking it down, to scheduling, to shooting, to post, to distribution, we're looking around, let's give or take 8 to 10 hours right there.
Yeah.
Do the math. It's not great per hour, like an hourly rate. So I understand. And I'm assuming you're booking yourself. I'm assuming you're booking plenty at this point in your career.
Yeah, it took off pretty good. Like my photography, actually, I'm very grateful, honestly. I didn't have to work hard to get clients. It just naturally came. A lot of referrals, and it was very fast.
I wouldn't say you didn't have to work too hard for it, or you're lucky. I mean, the work speaks for itself. Word of mouth spreads. You're killing it. I want to work with you. So it was because of you.
Yeah. Thank you. But it's true. But I'm going to fast forward just really quick. Nothing has boomed as easy and fast as branding for me. So we'll touch base
Yeah.
on that later.
Yeah, definitely want to get that.
But yeah, so yeah, and at that point I started, raising prices, and I was listening to some amazing photographers that already, have made it, have grown. Like Sue Bryce is one of them. I took a lot of her courses, went to see her in LA to her workshop. Like I was actually working on myself and
I'm not
on
really
my
familiar with
mentality.
her. Is she like a top dog?
Yeah, she's like top dog on portrait photography.
Gotcha.
But she's an IPS, in-person sales.
Okay.
Meaning there's no digital. Oh, there's digitals, but like her main thing is prints. She's selling prints out of the portrait sessions. It's not digital packages.
I mean, that's a bigger bag, I'm assuming, because
Yeah.
printing costs a lot
Yeah.
more. And then,
Yeah. And I never really got to the printing part. I still to this day, I only do digital packages, but I do encourage everyone to print. That's why in my wedding packages, yes, I started doing weddings after. In my wedding packages, I give print credit. So it's just a little something back to my clients, because I want to encourage them to print off their gallery so they have something that's hanging on the walls or sitting on the coffee table, and it's not just somewhere tucked away in a USB.
I agree. Having still images, I have tons in my archives and that are edited, and they're beautiful photos. But like something about printing your image, and you see it on the wall. Like I have some like of my Central and South America travels on like just drone stills on my walls that are a little outdated at this point. I have some better stuff that I want to print. But it's like, you're right. Once you see a printed image rather than a digital file that's on your phone or on a cloud, it's kind of like there, and you forget about it real quick. So like right now, we just got, I know I'm going a little sidetracked right now, but the printing kind of brought this up. We obviously just got married in January, and then my wife Kristen, we just completed our first like album, like a print album kind of thing. Like we went through this website and we're doing it ourselves. And we had a ton of fun, mostly her on how to organize the images per page and whatnot. And so we finally completed that this weekend, and now it's on the way here. So it's like we cannot wait to see. We have the images in a digital file already. We've seen it a million times, but having to have it in hand, like we cannot wait for that. And it's something I encourage all photographers out there, drone photographers, portrait photographers, clients, print those photos for real.
100% agree. And another point with the family photography, my son, like, when you see yourself as a kid in photos hanging, it creates a sense of love, family, comfort, that you're there, you're part of that family. And my son, like, he walks to some pictures, I'm like, oh, Mom, remember that day? Like, every time he walks by a picture that we have printed on the wall, and he remembers it. And I'm like, yes, that's part of it.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's the point. That's exactly the point. Having even those albums, like, I actually love having albums. You can go back in time just really quick and remember.
Yeah. Again, going back to my life.
Yeah.
We use a lot of those disposable cameras, those little cheap disposable cameras. I mean, they do pretty good, and we always print them out, and it's always fun to see those photos. And we have them in magnets, like in our fridge or somewhere. And it's just always fun to see those like photos in hand.
Yeah,
Like it's the best.
Yeah, it's the same with branding. I shoot for a magazine, for a San Diego Real Producers magazine. It's a luxury real estate magazine here in San Diego. It's like this big community of anything real estate related. And they have the magazine, and I have shot, I think already almost 10 covers. I have to count. I don't remember. So every time the magazine comes in my mail and it's my cover on the picture that I took is on the cover, I'm like, oh,
So cool.
It just, even though I've seen this picture 1,000 times and I've, posted it and all of that, but the moment I see it printed on the front of the magazine, I'm like, yes, that's amazing.
That's me.
That's me. I took that picture. Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely, it's awesome to
So
see it.
You're getting into family portraits and you're feeling the burnout. How do you get out of burnout?
Take time off. Okay. Well, yes, definitely take time for yourself.
That's what I do. I mean, I was agreeing with you. I take time off.
Definitely, you need to take time off. You kind of need to create, the space where you can refill your cup before you can pour out of the cup. And that still happens till today, right? No matter, at what stage you are at. And when you're even bigger, there's even bigger void and space to fill up, right? Self-care and prioritizing your time management is very big, like blocking off times. Like there's days now that I've learned, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not working these days. Like this month, I have these and these and these dates available, and I'm not working on this day. No matter if it's a weekday. I decided like this is what I'm gonna do. And it works because I don't want to work every day. I'm creating my own schedule, so I'm my own creator, right? Where I make decisions of how much I work, how much I'm bringing in, and I'm sticking to that.
Yeah, because if you were to work yourself to death, you might as well get on a 9 to 5 job then.
Exactly. Like
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I can't speak for you, but I got into the freelance space so I could control my own destiny, control my own life, control my own hours. Similar to you, on weekends, I will not do post-production work as far as like editing goes. If there's a shoot on weekends, sometimes there's a wedding or there's a conference that I need to film on Saturdays. That's fine. Filming is fine, but like it's not every weekend that I'm going to be doing that anyways. But as far as weekends go, and I got nothing to shoot, I'm not editing anything on weekends. I've caught myself doing that for the last few months, and I've been enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, and I have pushed myself for a very long time to get an editor, and I did, and I don't edit anything anymore. And I'm so relieved, and I am loving it. I have an editor. My editor is in Ukraine, which is even better for her and for me. They're out of work there, so I'm helping her while the war is going on.
Sure.
So
Not just that, but like when you dump those files while you're sleeping, they're probably getting worked on. So when you
exactly.
wake up, you have, let's call it a V1 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it took me so long to get into that mental space of being able to let go of the control of the editing. So long.
I have my 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's just
Yeah.
so hard to, and it's something I want to ask you, like, how do you mold that editor to your style?
It took me, I think, 3 editors to find the one. And you could feel the vibe immediately. We were like, oh my God, like I liked her. I liked the way she talked. I liked the way we communicated. And then I liked her work because she's a photographer herself. And then when I sent her my presets that I usually use for all of my branding. And I told her exactly how I want skin to be retouched because all of my photos are retouched naturally, but retouched.
Sure.
Yeah. And she nailed it. Yes, maybe here and there I ask her for a few tweaks, and it's as
It's a
anything,
work in progress.
it's a work in progress. Yeah, until you kind of adjust and mold into each other, and then she understands exactly what I'm looking for in a final product. And nowadays, I don't even have to give her any directions besides any specific
Sure.
requests from my clients, but. Other than that, like I give her photos, she knows she has my presets, and she gives it back to me, and everyone's happy. And I can actually do what I'm good at is shooting, because
And closing cells.
in closing, yeah, exactly. And
That's
planning
a whole other
sessions,
skill
yeah.
that not many people talk about. People want to gas themselves up about, I'm a great shooter, but can you close a deal, dude?
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
So that's getting an editor is the game changer. It's every person I've had in the podcast that talks about getting an editor. It's like literally that's like the best investment ever.
I agree, 100%. Definitely get an editor.
And you've obviously have so much time for yourself and for your boy now that you're not stuck in a computer for hours going through a catalog of 1,000 and 1,500 images.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, that's the thing. Like you were saying, working on weekends, editing. Sometimes I didn't have time, and I had to work on weekends. I had to work after my kid would go to sleep, and I'm like super late on everything, trying to catch up to meet up with the deadlines because I'm so overwhelmed. And then I have another session tomorrow, and then another session tomorrow, and then 3 more after.
It's just a hamster wheel.
And I'm like, oh my God, when is this going to be done? I literally was just draining myself. And it's real. I mean, that doesn't make me happy. That's not what I signed up for when I wanted to work for myself. So I realized I had to make some changes. And the thing is, the changes start from here. It's your mindset. The moment you decide, like, okay, this is not the way, I need a better way. And you look for that better way. Then you ask people who have done that better way. And I feel like, we have so many great resources right now. On YouTube is amazing. I mean, if you Google
YouTube University.
yeah,
It's the best.
exactly. I love it. you can find the ways you can hear amazing advices for free, and implement them. Because there are people who have done that already and who have figured it out. You don't need to go through all these trenches to figure out. Be smarter than that. Save yourself time. Look at others. Ask others. Even ask on so many great Facebook groups, with great photographers out there who have also figured out the better ways, and ask them.
And they're willing to give you that free
Yeah.
knowledge. If you just ask, yeah.
I love sharing what I know, honestly.
Same. That's one of the reasons why I have this podcast.
Yeah. I love sharing what I know, and I feel like it's going to help somebody, even if you don't think so, but it will resonate with somebody out there, and they're like, oh my God, that was perfect. And that's going to make someone else's day, and that's going to make my day.
So having an editor, you noticed that it was slow. You were slowly getting out of that not creative rut, the burnout.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I started, okay. Well, so when I was doing, I got an editor when I got into weddings, because that's a whole other ball game, right? Editing weddings.
I mean, we're talking about 2,000 to sometimes 4,000 images.
Yes.
It's insane.
Yeah. So that's when I got an editor. So I got into weddings, right? I started, I shot a wedding, actually, where we're sitting. Funny, I mean, you don't have to bring it up, but where the office, the owner of the office and his sister is the other main gal here. My first wedding was her wedding.
Okay.
They didn't have a photographer, so family friends. I've shot all of their families. They already know I photograph babies. I've done all their babies and all of that.
You're around, 2-3 years into the game, or a little longer?
Yeah, like about 4.
Okay, so you're a seasoned vet at this point.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Something like that.
Something like that. But again, never done a wedding. And for me, I'm like doing a wedding, working with flashes. Hell no. I am a natural light photographer all the way. Working with multiple flashes? Hell no, I don't know what to do, right? I still don't know the verbiage to that, but I figured it out now, of course. And then I remember she's like, do you want to shoot my wedding? I'm like, I've never done a wedding. She's like, it's okay. I know you'll do great. I'm like, okay, I guess I can shoot your wedding. Sure. And so I don't even have any multiple flash. I have one single flash. So I go to George's Camera. Thank God for George's Camera. I love them all there. I go there. I'm like, okay, teach me the ways. What do I do? How do I do off-camera flash? I only know on-camera flash. How do I do off-camera flash with 4 flashes or 3 flashes? I think it was.
You're talking in a foreign language to me right now. Like, I don't know anything about flash photography. So
right?
Go ahead, knock yourself out.
Right. So basically, you have one on camera, right? And then that one triggers when you click.
Yeah.
That one triggers the other 2 or 3 that are standing.
Wait, so you're bringing all those lights to you at
a wedding?
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
And I film tons of weddings.
Oh, yeah.
The only time I see flash is when they have the flash on the camera mounted on the hot shoe.
Yeah, that's for the night. I mean, during the day.
But other than that, I don't see any other flashes. So
Yeah.
You're taking it another level.
Well, and it's my first wedding, so I gotta outdo myself, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Sure.
And it's a friend's wedding, so I have even more responsibility. That's how I feel. And I remember, so I'm coming in, natural light throughout the day is great, but with weddings, sometimes you're just coming into spaces that you just don't know how the light is going to be. And sometimes
that's the thing about weddings. It's you're going to war. You never know what the conditions are going to look like.
You never know. And that day was super gloomy. It got dark very fast, and it was a backyard wedding. So and with the flash. With one flash, on-camera flash, a backyard wedding, there's nothing to reflect from, right? It's a black sky. Mm-hmm. So you really need to know what you're doing with a flash photography at night. No bounce. There's no bounce. So, and I realized, I'm like, okay, because of that, I need to do at least 3 flashes, so it kind of gives in from here and there and creating like a 3D effect, which is beautiful. But I have no idea what to do, and I have no idea how to even work with 1 flash, let alone with 3. So it was a crash course on camera. Thank God for George's Camera and all the people over there. And they kind of taught me all of that real quick. And I go in there, set it up. It works beautifully. And I put one stand like somewhere over there.
And you're by yourself, right? No assistant?
No, it was just me. Yeah. And, it's going great. We're already more than halfway down through the wedding. It's the night reception and like everyone's dancing and all of that. And all of a sudden I see one of my camera flashes not flashing. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I look over and I see my camera flash while standing like this. It was like this. And what happened was somebody pushed it towards the heater and the whole thing completely melted.
Wow.
And it was not my flash. It was George's camera flash too. So it was really funny. But anyways, so that was my first wedding. And it turned out really great. And then I don't even remember how the next one came along. But they came. And then the next wedding. And then the next
It
wedding.
was a snowball effect.
And it was a snowball effect. And then I started shooting weddings. And I was like, oh, great. The money's great.
Amazing.
Right? I mean, I still was pretty low on the low side because and I realized that throughout my career in photography, you put your price, and you put your price based on your belief in yourself, right? So if you believe you're worth it, you're going to charge whatever you feel like you're worth. So your price starts here again. So if you feel like you're not good enough, you're not going to charge good enough. But the moment you see yourself like, okay, you know what? I'm good enough. I am better than whatever, let's say, my competition here. I like whatever I'm creating better. Then you're like, okay, maybe I am worth more. And then you start kind of climbing that ladder of pricing it up, right?
Was there a moment in your career where you're like, screw this, kind of like what you just described? I'm worth the $3,000, the $4,000 per wedding or whatever. What moment? When exactly was that moment for you?
You know, it was in branding, actually. The branding got me there. Because I know if in San Diego, I am probably on average like the expensive photographer with some others that are in that realm, but not many.
Sure.
And branding got me there because I realized people wanted me for my work, for me and for my work. And they loved what they saw in like how I saw them. They loved how I captured them, and they kept coming back. And I was like, wow, okay, like that there's something there. Like I understand that I'm good, but then I'm like, okay, I'm giving them so much more than just pretty pictures.
You give them an experience.
I give them an experience, and they walk away empowered. They feel great about themselves, and it's kind of like a journey that they didn't know they needed in branding.
How do you make someone that you meet for the first time comfortable like that? I understand when they come back to you because that means you did a hell of a job, and the work becomes so much easier because the work keeps coming back to you, same people, and you have to like go through the whole initiation and the onboarding. But how do you get someone super comfortable and make them feel empowered and great and all that?
It's funny you say comfortable because every single client who I've ever had, everyone after our session, they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I felt so comfortable with you. I've never felt like that with anybody at my session. And I think it's my personality in general. Like I'm me. I'm very real. I'll make fun of myself, because it's life. Like why I don't need to pretend that I'm something like
the joke's gotta fly. I always say that.
Huh?
The joke's gotta fly.
Yeah, you gotta be fun. Like I will make fun of myself, or I will show them that I'm not perfect. Like everyone struggles with some things. Like people a lot of times when they come and they're like, I don't know where to put my hands. I don't know what to do with them. And they're like, I don't know. I don't like myself in photos usually, like because I always look awkward. And then I kind of
sounds like me.
Yeah. So I walk with them through like, okay, like let's see, what if you put your hand here? Oh, how does that look? Okay, okay. And then we start kind of going through it, and then I take some photos, and then I show it to them. And I think that's very important. A lot of photographers, and I've been there before when I was the model, they would take pictures, they would take all the pictures, and they would never show me anything. And I'm like, well, how does that work? Does that look good, or do I look like an ogre? Like, what is it? And then when I show them, they're like, oh, wow, that's me? That looks great. An instant boost of confidence.
The energy just goes to another
level. And the
level.
next photo is like they're already posing themselves. They're like, okay, I got it. I'm like, oh, you know what you're doing. I feel like that feedback is very important. They need to see what you're capturing. They need to see that for them to feel better and to actually give you even more of them in the next shots.
100% agree. Wedding that I just shot last week, I did some stuff, shot the couple, and at first, when they first meet me, first time meeting the couple in person, they're a little uneasy, uncomfortable because I'm a random person with the camera in front of their face. But once I show them an example, like, hey, this is what you guys look like right here, and they see it, their faces just light up. Like, I don't even look at the monitor; I just look at their faces, and they're just like, "This looks sick." Like, we look like rock stars right now. Like, and then their confidence just goes up. The shoot goes way more smoother, and it just I end up giving them a better end product.
Exactly.
Just by showing them a small little preview.
Yes. Always show a preview.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of that. Always show a preview on the back of the camera.
That's the move.
And then another thing, telling them feedback, like, you're doing great, you're doing amazing. I love that. Like, I get very excited, and my clients start laughing. They're like, oh, it looks like you're even more excited than me about this. I'm like, yes, because we're getting something awesome, and I'm truly getting excited about what's going on over there, and like having fun and just and brainstorming together. Like, oh, what do you think? I think this would look here well here. Like, how do you like this background? I like to implement my clients into kind of the planning of the next shot, and kind of walking through them, like, oh, maybe we can do this here, or maybe maybe you can sit this way, and they like that I'm giving them ideas because they don't have to think about, because a lot of people don't know.
And they're not creative.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you're the expert on the field, so that's why they hired you for a reason, for you to
Exactly.
direct them.
Exactly. And they want all those directions. They need them. And I think that's why at the end they're like, oh my God, thank you. It was great. It was fun. They didn't have to overthink what to do with their hand, where to put it. So yeah, for me, I like giving directions. I guess I like telling people what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, I know we're going way far out, but like eventually do you see yourself being some sort of like creative director? I sense that kind of energy from you.
I don't know. Maybe I kind of feel like I'm gonna be an educator before that, some form of educator. Maybe posing expert. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. There's something there. I actually started on my Instagram creating posing reels. And those have been performing amazingly. So I just need to get back on that. That's another thing. Remember time management, like
Right.
finding the time to do all the things that you plan,
Uh-huh.
and making it a priority. I enjoyed a lot. I became really good at posing by working with my clients. Before I didn't know what to do, but then working with them, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe like this will work better. And the style of my posing is a little bit different than everyone, right? Like everyone has their own way of capturing people or seeing people. Mine is a little bit more like powerful, empowered, strong, but feminine at the same time, because I work a lot with women.
Okay. What industries?
Right now, well, I work a lot with real estate industry, entrepreneurs, team leads, and a lot with coaches, various different type of coaches.
And how has that been?
Amazing. I have learned so much. The people that I'm surrounding myself with, they're empowering me. And I am so grateful for that, because, you are who you surround yourself with. And I'm surrounded by these powerful, driven individuals, and who like to dress well, eat well, spend their time smart, invest in themselves, including, doing a branding session with me. That's an investment in yourself. And they don't skimp on that, because whatever you invest in yourself, that's what you're going to see in your life.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any examples or any tips in regards to hanging around with these entrepreneurs, stuff that you've taken from them, whether subconsciously or them telling you, that you apply to your own business?
Systems and processes that are very important. What you create, right? Your system, how you have your system handled in any of the business is so important. If you are a leader, it's especially important, because you're a leader. You are bringing people after you, right? Your company is growing because of that leader, right? So putting the system in place, smart system where you work smarter, not harder, is very important. And another thing is, I'm thinking, hold on.
It's all good.
Give
It's all
me a
good.
moment, it's gonna come. Sometimes we all need time for ourselves, right? And yes, like taking that time for yourself to recharge, but then keeping your word is so important. The dignity of your word is so important because your branding is basically your character and your the way people recognize know about you. It's your brand name, right? Like what they think of you, what they feel, what they say when you're not there. That's your brand.
Right.
So keeping your word pristine is so important, right? And so your brand, like they say, like your brand is you, so you need to be who you want your brand to be.
Yeah, I mean, it takes years upon years to hold that standard for yourself and have that reputation, and it
Reputation is
takes
good. Yeah,
5 seconds to tear that reputation down.
exactly.
If you do not deliver that project on that deadline that you set, that reputation is already tainted.
Yeah, I mean, there's things happen. Things happen. It's not a problem. I
That's
think
when you
the
have to
clear is
communicate.
communication. Yeah, the communication is so important. People are, I mean, everyone has life and very understandable. But if there's something that you can deliver, you got to let them know in advance, like, hey, like I'm really trying hard to deliver this right now, but there's so many other, like life got in the way, whatever.
Yeah.
Just give them that
And they're
yeah.
human beings. They'll understand as long as there's clear communication. It's one thing I like to tell the listeners is that don't expect them to be in your head to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like you can't assume that they know what you know. Like
Yeah.
let them know. Clear communication. And it also goes both ways too, but it doesn't always happen like that, as you probably
Of
know.
course, yeah.
Is there an example of a shoot where things didn't really go your way, where the client, the talent is just not really vibing with you, or just somewhere in the process just wasn't clicking?
No.
You're just perfect then. Oh, you're serious right
I'm
now?
serious.
I thought you were joking.
I did. No, I didn't.
There isn't one that you could think of.
No, like. Thank God, I have been so grateful.
Yeah, let's knock on this wood.
Knock on the wood. Yeah, I have been so grateful to have everything always falls into place. Always, because I always trust the process. And I said that to my clients. Even let's say we hope for this location, or we go in and we're like, okay, maybe we can do this here or try this here, and it doesn't work. Like, location is closed, we get kicked out or caught, whatever it may be. I always say, I trust that whatever meant to happen today will be even better than we intended, and it always does. You have to trust the process, and you have to give that attitude to your client, because if you're stressing out and you're like stressing them out because you're not sure, you have to be very confident in what you're saying, even if sometimes you might not believe it 100%, but you have to give that comfort to your client.
Yeah. I like that. You see the cup half full instead of half empty.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always on a positive.
You had mentioned that you are in a level of pricing where it's like you're kind of up there. Mm-hmm. There's a huge gap in the middle. And then there's like the beginners, the amateurs, or even just seasoned vets that are in that lower price range. Mm-hmm. The one person that's in the lower price range that really wants to elevate their work and elevate their prices, how do you do that?
Working on yourself, number one, meaning doing workshops online, YouTube videos, whatever you feel like you're lacking, right? Whether it's the editing process, or you don't know your angles very well, or you feel like I don't know, you have this image that you want to have, but you don't know how to capture it. Taking workshops, photography workshops, actually growing yourself. The moment you start growing yourself, and you'll see the growth, you'll see that you're bettering yourself and your work, you'll start believing in yourself, and people will see that in you, and then you'll start hearing the feedback like, oh my God, these were amazing. Oh my God, I love that. And then another thing is when you feel like you're getting a lot of incoming clients and a lot of inquiries, and they're booking and booking and booking, you're getting busier, that's the time to raise your price, right? Because you don't want to overwork yourself again. Right. So you raise your price, even if it's a little bit. Okay, raise it up and see how it goes. The fear is usually, oh my God, I'm going to raise, nobody's
Everybody's
gonna
fear.
Everyone's fear. There's client for everyone. When people see the value from you, they will pay you whatever money that you are asking, because they see the value. They are your client. That's why You have to share, like even on your Instagram, on your social media, you have to share a little bit about you. I feel like it's so important. People relate to, I tell that to my clients all the time. People relate to a person. They want to know who is behind the whole thing.
Right.
Because that's how your potential client, your perfect client will find you and will stay with you. So yeah, the moment you see a lot of people inquiring and booking, raise it up, then keep it up. And then if you feel like, oh my God, it's getting more, raise it up again. Don't be scared.
Sounds simple.
Yes, but it is actually. If you think about it.
I love how you just see things like in a positive. Like you are really true to like what you're saying right now. Because this is the first time we're meeting for the first time in person, and you do have this positive aspect in you where it's like it's doable. I could do it. Sure, why not?
But
it's
if
easy.
you think about it, it is easy.
No,
right?
it is. You're right.
You just raise your price. But what's stopping you? What makes it hard is your mind. The mind chatter. Oh my God, I'm not good enough. Oh my God, no, I can't do it. Oh my God,
the imposter syndrome is a bitch.
I have it every single time.
It's hard to believe someone like you that has
No,
it.
I have it. Trust me. I mean, I just got reached out by a really famous realtor that was on the $1 million listing on Bravo, and they reached out to do a session, and I was like, I'm sorry, and I couldn't do it because I already had a session in Beverly Hills on that day, and I'm like, I really want you, but like I can't. And I was like, and then I was like, wow, and that hit me. I'm like, somebody like that reaching out to me here in San Diego. I'm not even in LA. Like,
speaks volumes.
yeah, I was like, wow, okay. So those are the things that you start like, okay, like I'm not backing down. And then some days some days I send out my pricing and nobody books. Still happens to me. And then I'm like, oh my God, maybe I'm too high, or maybe I should lower it down. But no, absolutely not. You know your price, you stay by it. You raise it, you don't go back. That's another thing. When you raise your price, you don't go back. You want to run a special? Yes, run a special, but do not go back in your pricing.
I've always been told by colleagues of mine or people that I look up to, it's that going back to that gap of pricing from like the low end to the very high end, there's a sweet middle spot where people like are slowly increasing their rates, and that's where no one's booking. But once you get past that like hump, I know it's harder to quantify because I'm kind of just throwing words out there. You can't really see it. But once you get past a certain level of pricing, it's a whole different ballgame where people will start saying yes. For example, the $10,000 project, the $12,000 project, I've seen it happen. It's happened to me actually, where you're not booking the $5,000, you're not booking the $6,000, but once you increase a little bit more, it's a whole nother level of like clientele. It's another pool right there where it's like, all right, let's work with you kind of thing. And it again, it's hard to explain. I'm probably not saying it right, but there is another level. Once you get out that middle hump of pricing, things start flowing.
Absolutely. Well, if you think about it, when people paying top dollar, they expect quality, right? And they expect the way the experience is in a different level. And they are willing to pay for that. Mm-hmm. So in order for you to feel that you're charging what you're supposed to charge, you need to give that experience. You need to look honestly and be like, okay, what am I lacking on that I feel like I'm an imposter, right? What am I lacking on? And really look at yourself honestly and like, okay, I can do better here. I can add on here, or I can create something else here, and try. It doesn't hurt to try.
I'm going to be devil's advocate. I'm this creator that, I got a $3,000 FX3 and I have a $2,000 lens with amazing lights and gear. I have $25,000 worth of camera gear. I should be getting paid this much.
No. No, it doesn't work like that. You can create something amazing with like half of that gear.
Yeah. One thing I always say, it's like, I promise you guys, the clients do not give a shit about your camera gear. Unless a specific client asks for a Red camera or an Arri Alexa, then they know what the hell they're talking about. But for the most part, 9 out of 10, they don't care what you're filming. They just see the end product on either your website, your Instagram, Facebook post, whatever, and that's what they want.
Exactly. They don't know they have no idea about any of the logistics behind the shoot. They don't know what lens you're shooting. If you're shooting with the,
They don't care.
They don't care.
They just want the
They
end
don't
product to be
care.
fire.
Yes, they don't care. And so don't get stuck on that.
Yeah.
Right now I shoot with mirrorless R5.
Well, right here, yeah. Let's talk about gear.
Yeah.
What's in your everyday camera bag?
Hold on, is it R5 or R6? I always get confused.
There's an R5 and
I
R6.
know, but which one is the cheaper?
The R6.
Okay, so it's R6. Okay, so
We're not cutting any of this.
see, I don't even know. I'm not technical. Like, I'm so not technical, so I don't even focus on that. So I have R6. That's what I shoot
Which is
with.
an amazing camera, by the way. So
Great
you know
camera.
some sort of technicalities.
Yeah, I mean, of course. But I'm saying, like, I'm not one of those that will be like, oh my God, like, I know I can name you
Sure.
all the stuff about it. No, I just know it's R6 and it's mirrorless and it does the job great.
Okay, what kind of
And
lenses?
I know how to set up. I have multiple ones. I have 35, which I don't really use that much. I should probably kind of play with it a little bit more. My 50, nifty 50 is
Gotta
my
have it.
favorite. Honestly, it's my favorite lens. I think from the research that I've just done before, why is it favorite? Because it's the closest to your natural eye view, right?
The more some normal look.
Yeah. Then I love my 85 for portraits, and then I have 2470 and 7200. And I love actually my 7200 for some really cool branding shots, especially like urban walk type of thing. I love the 7200 for that. But most of the time is 50 and 85 is on my lens, on my camera.
50 or 85. And then you also have your D Mark III as well still?
Yeah, I still have it. I don't.
For as a B camera?
Exactly, just in case.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned about having self-belief and all that good stuff, believing in your pricing, believing in your product, providing that amazing experience for your clients. Are you consuming some sort of podcast or reading some sort of books that's helping you develop that mindset? Or is it just being around these entrepreneurs that you're always working with that you're just soaking up that knowledge?
I think it's all of the above. I am doing a lot of self-work every day on myself. That's from meditations, from hypnotherapy. I just started this hypnotherapy quest on Mind Valley, which has been great. Lots of YouTube videos about, empowering yourself and how to talk for people to listen.
Certain channels, so if anyone's interested.
Oh my God! Oh, there's this guy. Can I look it up?
It's all good.
I'm terrible with names.
It's all good. It's all good.
So I always forget. Clark Kegley, I think his name is. He has tons of amazing YouTube videos.
That's all about like self-empowering.
Great, like Clark Kegley. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, this guy.
I have to check him out.
Yeah,
for sure.
So Clark Kegley on YouTube, really like him. Very, very good stuff. Very awesome knowledge that everyone can use. Books, I do a lot of like audiobooks. I have so many. I mean, I can't even name any. But the Atomic Habits right now.
I've heard of that one.
Great. Yeah, it's awesome. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, also
Read that
another
one.
great one. Untethered Soul by Micah Singer is great. Jay Shetty, also great for relationships and like just being true to yourself. And that's the thing. After all, like you'll find what you need. You just need to look.
Sure.
The moment you start looking, the moment you send out the question out there, like you will get the answer. You will have it. You just need to start asking questions.
Yeah. I love the positivity the positivity spin that you have. It's I love it. It's pretty cool. And I see why clients keep rehiring, because you do gives this sort of energy. It's like, we can make this happen. It's going to look great.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a great experience. As we're wrapping up right now, are there 3 tips that you could give to the young creator out there that's trying to get into the freelance space or creative game? How to elevate themselves, how to work on their mindset, anything you could think of?
Yeah. Believe in yourself, even if somebody else doesn't believe in you, even if you're going to have doubters. When I was growing up, if somebody would have told me you would have been taking photographs for a living, and my parents would like say, oh yeah, sure, you can be a photographer for a living. Hell no. People are like, no, photographers are poor. Like, this is like poor
They're broke artists.
Yeah, broke artists. Like, no, none of that. And then the other day, my dad sends me a reel from Kevin McCleary, the from the Shark Tank guy. What's
Okay.
his name? Mr. Wonderful. And apparently, Mr. Wonderful sent on some video that nowadays the jobs and the careers that are like great are photographers, videographers, and content creators
Yeah.
because every business needs that. And my dad was like, "Yes, here you were right." I'm like, "Yeah,
You're
I
like,
know."
I know.
I'm like, "I know."
I remember the conversation I had with my mom, like when I quit the hospital. I'm like, hey, Mom, I'm going to quit the hospital. I'm going to just focus on videography and photography. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And she saw me like, are you serious? You're going to be a photographer? Like,
Yeah.
like you're not going to make any money
Yeah.
kind of thing. And now similar to your dad,
Yeah.
she's like, dude, you're right.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I knew where the world was going towards. I saw how social media was working. And this is before videos was like a thing in social media. It was just straight photography. But I'm like, video's going to keep up and eventually video's going to be king. And it still is right now.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that. So believing in yourself. If you feel like that's your call, if it's pulling you in, do it, because you might rather say, "Oh my God, I tried it and it didn't work," than, "Oh, I wish I tried." You know. So believing in yourself. Don't stop trying, even if you fail. I failed. I didn't like so many images that I've taken. I was like, "Oh, that's bullshit. That was crap." Even though now I look back, I'm like, actually, it wasn't that bad. You're your own worst self-critic.
It's a fact.
Yeah. So keep going. Don't stop. And the third one is keep learning. Be hungry for knowledge, because the more you learn, the more other aspects of your brain start opening up. And you start seeing different things. You can train your eye to be creative. You can train your eye to see different angles. So keep learning and keep looking for new knowledge. Don't be lazy.
You're never too cool for school, or like, I'm at this level. I'm pretty comfortable. I know what I'm doing. I'm good.
Yeah, even the top people in the world, they don't ever stop learning. They keep reading books. They keep expanding their knowledge. Keep growing internally, because at the end of the day, number one, and the only person that you're with is yourself. You need to be interesting for yourself.
Right.
So
I love it.
be interesting.
Well, Valeria, it's been a pleasure to meet you. It's been a
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you in the podcast, and you definitely dropped some gems on this one. If you guys want to connect with Valeria, I will have her Instagram link in the description. Feel free to tap in and check her work and her profile. And thank you so much. And
Thank you.
we'll catch you guys later.